Hello, everybody. So, really quick, I wanted to jump on today. I was going to write a blog on this, but I just really anxious to share this because I've started using this method with my clients in the last few weeks. Kind of stumbled across it with one of my clients that was struggling, as many people do, with hitting their goals and then beating themselves up for it. And I was trying to figure out a way to help her approach it because I'm such a big believer that beating ourselves up is there's no upside to it, right? And it feels so useful, right? Like if I don't beat myself up, if I'm not mean to myself, if I'm not super upset, then I'm just going to keep doing what I've been doing and I'm not going to make any progress. But the irony is that actually is what's keeping us stuck. And so when we start to approach it differently, when we actually start to have compassion for ourselves, that opens up some space for curiosity and interest. And the big phrase I always use is compassionate curiosity. So when we open up some space for compassionate curiosity, then all of a sudden we can problem solve. But when we are being mean to ourselves and beating ourselves up, that is when it's like our brain shuts down because it's almost like it's solved the problem and the problem is you just need to get your act together. And if that was useful, I would tell you to do it, but truly it's not useful. There's no upside and it feels terrible. So I was trying to find a way to help her approach this differently. And we came up with this idea of approaching it like an obstacle course. And so when I think about like the American Ninja Warrior show, right? I've only watched it a few times with my kids, but when I look at these people that go through these obstacle courses, these crazy obstacle courses, I was thinking about it because I just did this Rugged Maniac obstacle course mud run thing a few weeks ago, and it just made me have even more admiration for those people because there were several that I couldn't do, where you had to go across on monkey bars or something like that. And I just started thinking about how, when people set this goal to go on national television and run these obstacles, and they have kids that do it too, which is so amazing, that's not the first time they've ever done it. It's not like the first time you go through an obstacle course, you do everything perfectly right. And when we can approach this journey sort of in that same way, it can be really, really helpful. So the way I was describing it is we're going to set up some obstacles, basically, some things that right now you're not doing or not doing well that you want to do. You see some benefit, right? So we set the outcome goal. And for most of my clients, that's going to be some sort of weight loss, but there might be a secondary goal with that, right? Which is to feel better, to have more energy. Maybe there's some health factors that are coming into play with that. So that's the outcome. And then we're setting up some specific obstacles or behaviors to help us get there. So here's a couple of things that's really important. First of all, the obstacles that you set, the obstacle course, it gets to be your obstacle course. It's really important that you pick things that matter to you and that you feel are beneficial. They don't just need to be like arbitrary things that you don't really care about. So like, for example, maybe, cutting out gluten or something, and you're like, well, I've heard I should do that, but I don't really know, right? Like that's not what I want you to do. I want you to pick things that really matter to you, that you feel, and listen, you have so much inner wisdom. This is so true. Sometimes we're looking for all these external things to tell us what to do, but I promise you that if you really are just sort of still and quiet with yourself, deep down, what are a few things that I can do that will have a big impact, okay? So we pick a few things and then we set it up in our brain, like we're going to run an obstacle course. And so the way I have my clients look at it is each week we're running the obstacle course. So let me show you, I've got a little graphic that I made here. Let me do a screen share. Okay, so this is how I look at it. Now, again, you can set the obstacles. You can pick. So I just picked, these are 4 random things, and I would pick between 3 to 5. 3 to 5 things you want to start off. Now, if you're really new to this, you might even just pick one thing that you're going to focus on, right? Like maybe you're just trying to cut out, let's say you're trying to cut out sugar or something. That might be the only obstacle you have for the week, right? But I would pick somewhere between 3 and 5 for most of my clients. And again, I let them decide what it is that they want to focus on. And don't let your brain tell you that there's a right way or that there's right things, and then if you get it wrong, you're going to mess up. If you pick anything that you feel deep down is going to help move you towards your goal, I promise it's going to be beneficial. All right. Now, once you get these things down, maybe you add or you change, but start with these 3 to 5 things. So I just picked 4 random things. So one would be to work out 3 times a week. And I'd usually put like a time limit on that, like at least 15 minutes, right? Just so it's very specific. We know exactly what we're trying to accomplish. No eating after 7, eat 3 to 5 servings of veggies every day, and in bed by 10 p.m. But you could pick drink more water. You could pick, eliminate, sugar and white flour. You could pick, no drinking alcohol, Sunday through Friday. I mean, whatever it is, you're just going to pick some things that you feel will be beneficial to you, but that are also challenging. They're not things you're doing right this minute. And when you pick them, they're going to feel a little bit scary, and that's okay. That's totally fine. That's part of it. And then you're imagining each week that you're running through this obstacle course. Now, one of the things that's important to understand is that when it comes time to do these things, when you hit that obstacle, the toddler brain is what I call it, this part of your brain that wants immediate gratification and comfort, is going to tell you all the reasons you shouldn't do it, all the reasons you should go around, all the reasons you should just go ahead and eat that sugar, or it's fine to have that evening snack, or you should stay up later and keep watching Netflix, or whatever, right? That part of your brain that wants immediate gratification, comfort, familiarity is always going to flare up when we're going to do something that feels a little bit uncomfortable. So when you go to do your workout, you're going to have a little battle in your brain. And it's important to understand that, because it's totally normal. Doesn't mean anything's gone wrong, but it also doesn't mean we have to believe that part of our brain, right? When we plan out our obstacle course, we're planning it with the prefrontal cortex, the part of the brain that only human beings have that allow us to plan and process and look at the big picture. So we know what will happen if we don't work out. We'll feel comfortable in the moment, but uncomfortable long term, versus if we do our 3 workouts, we're going to feel uncomfortable for a short period of time, but then we get the benefit of that long term. And you are building that relationship with yourself. This is a big thing I teach my clients, is that you're learning to trust yourself. You're learning to be able to set a goal for yourself and follow through. You think about somebody that, if you have a friend that you make plans with and they constantly cancel, or they don't show up, or they're late all the time, you start to kind of lose trust in them, right? Like, you have that appointment on the calendar, but you don't really believe it's going to happen, right? And we do that to ourselves. Oftentimes we won't do that to other people. We would never do that to a friend. We would never do that to our boss, but we're doing it to ourselves all the time. So yes, following through with these behaviors is important because they're going to lead us to that outcome goal. But part of it is also just the journey of building that relationship with ourselves. So you run the obstacle course, and here's what's going to happen. You're going to get some things right, and you're going to get some things wrong. So let's say that your obstacle 1 is to work out 3 times a week, and you only get 2 workouts in. Now, what most of my clients will do is they're going to beat themselves up because they didn't get in that 3rd workout, right? Instead of focusing on what went well, why did you get in those 2? What went right on those days? What was going on? What were the thoughts you were having that was leading to the emotion of motivation that was allowing you to do that? And then with compassionate curiosity, we examine why we didn't get in the 3rd workout. There's no beating ourselves up. There's no being mad. Just like if you were going through an obstacle course the first time and you messed up, it's not going to help you to just be mad at yourself, right? You're going to go back and look at, what went right, what went wrong? Where did I misplace my feet? Or where should I have put, grabbed differently here and there? Where I should have run faster. I should have jumped quicker, whatever it is. That's what's actually going to help you do better the next time, not just being mad at yourself and beating yourself up. So you run the obstacle course, and then you compassionately look at what went right and why, and what didn't go right and why. And then you run it again. And you keep working on it over and over and over until you get to a point where this becomes easier and easier and easier. And as you do that, then you might decide to, add in new obstacles, or you might switch up your obstacles or whatever, right? But it's a totally different approach, because I think what most people do is they set these really lofty goals, then they go for them, they don't get them, and they think either something is wrong with them, or something is wrong with the system that they're trying to do, or the diet plan or the workout plan or something like that, and not understanding that anything you pick is going to be challenging. And it's really more of the skill of learning how to come up to those obstacles, understand the battle that's going to happen in the brain, and learning the process of overcoming that, which takes time. So like with my clients, we set it up for a month, and each week we're running the obstacle course is how we're kind of looking at it. But it may take a year to really get that down. And that's totally okay, right? Because at the end of that, you're going to have such a strong base level of skills that are going to serve you so much more than just going on some sort of crash diet or just going on some sort of, exercise spree that you really can't maintain long term, right? It's really those underlying skills of learning how to manage your mind, learning how to show up for yourself, learning how to overcome the feelings of discomfort to get through to the other side and get those long-term benefits that you want. So I just wanted to share that with y'all today because I think this is such a helpful approach. And what I want to go back to again is always creating space for yourself to have compassionate curiosity, both in what you did right and in what you did wrong. But beating yourself up, putting yourself down, yelling at yourself in your head, believing it's never going to work out, none of that serves you. None of that actually helps you figure out how to navigate this and get to the ultimate place of where you want to be. So again, just wanted to share that with you guys. If you have questions or if you want to set up a session with me where we can talk about some of the obstacles that you want to set up for yourself and how to do that, I would love to chat. Just reach out to me. You can email me at melissa@melissaadrian.com. Hope this is helpful. Talk to y'all soon.